When we talk about building wealth, our minds usually jump to spreadsheets, budgets, stop charts, all the math. But what if the real work, the hardest part of the journey, has almost nothing to do with numbers? What if it's really all about the invisible stories we tell ourselves?
This really gets to the absolute heart of it. See, there's a world of difference between being wealthy and just looking the part. And figuring out that difference is the first step to building something that lasts instead of just a lifestyle propped up by debt. At its core, this is all about identity.
So why is saving money so hard for so many of us? Well, it turns out we're not just fighting a desire to buy things. We're actually in a battle with these deep, unconscious beliefs about money. Beliefs that were programmed into us when we were kids.
This right here explains so much of the struggle. Just think about it. Your brain is basically running on ancient software. It's wired for immediate survival. Find food, stay safe, grab resources right now. It's not designed to understand a 401k or think about some abstract version of you 30 years from now.
And there's a fancy term for this phenomenon: temporal discounting. It's the reason spending $50 on a great meal tonight feels real and satisfying, while investing that same $50 feels like nothing. It's a sacrifice with no immediate reward. You're literally fighting your own biology.
And then there are these money scripts. Think back. Did you grow up hearing arguments about bills? If you did, your brain might automatically link money to conflict. Or maybe you heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees. And now, deep down, you just don't believe you're the type of person who can be wealthy. These scripts are running in the background of your mind all day, every day.
So just take a second to think about that. What were the messages about money in your family, spoken or unspoken? Because whether you know it or not, those old stories are the blueprints for your entire financial life.
But here's the hopeful part. Here's where the story can change. There is a turning point, a moment where you can start to overwrite that old programming and build a completely new identity.
Now, I know this sounds completely backward, but it is 100% true. That first $1,000 feels like an uphill battle in the mud because you're fighting every single one of your brain's ancient survival instincts. You're proving to that old part of your brain that you can delay gratification and that you'll be okay.
Because once you hit that first real savings milestone, say $10,000 or $20,000, something powerful clicks into place. It's not about the money anymore. It's proof. Proof that you control your money, not the other way around. You start to see yourself not as a spender, but as a saver. And that shift, that simple shift in identity, is a total game changer.
And once that new identity takes hold, you can stop relying on pure, exhausting willpower. Instead, you can build a system that makes saving and investing the default. The people who succeed at this, they don't have more willpower. They just have a better system.
And a system can be really simple. Take this framework, for example. It's not about restriction, it's about purpose. 15% of your income is automatically invested for the future you. 65% handles all your essentials. And that last 20%, well, that's kind of the secret weapon.
And this is so important. That 20% for fun isn't a failure or a weakness. It's actually what makes the whole system work. Trying to save every single dollar is just a recipe for burnout. This guilt-free spending is a pressure release valve. It's what lets you stick with the plan for decades, not just a few weeks.
A good system also gives you a clear roadmap, so you're not just guessing what to do next. You start with a small emergency fund. That's your psychological safety net. Then you grab your full employer match. That is literally free money. Then you knock out the high-interest debt. You see, the order matters. It removes the stress of making decisions.
So once your identity has shifted and your systems are running on autopilot, something incredible begins to happen. Your wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It starts to grow like a snowball rolling down a hill. Slowly at first, and then it just takes off. Just look at the timeline here. Getting to that first 100,000 is a grind. It takes about 8 years. But look what happens next. The next 100,000 takes only 5 more years. And then it just gets faster and faster. The momentum starts to do the heavy lifting for you. Which brings us to a really fascinating way to look at the journey. Reaching that first $100,000, that's not just 10% of the way to $1 million. No. When you factor in the psychological effort, the sheer grit it takes to build that initial habit, it's more like you're a third of the way there. The hardest part is over.
And this quote just says it all. The moment you truly see your money starting to make more money all by itself, your brain actually gets rewired. Saving doesn't feel like a sacrifice anymore. It feels powerful. And suddenly, spending money you don't need to, it feels like you're stealing from your future self.
And that powerful shift in your behavior, it leads to one final, profound transformation. It's a complete change in how you relate to the world and your place in it. See, on the way up, you have a saver mindset. It's all about offense, accumulation, growth. Every dollar is precious. But once you cross a certain threshold, you shift to a capital owner mindset. Your focus isn't about getting rich anymore, it's about staying rich. The game changes from offense to defense, from accumulation to preservation.
And this is what all that work was really for. It wasn't about buying a fancier car. True wealth isn't about buying things at all. It's about buying optionality. It's about buying freedom.
And what does that freedom look like in real life? It's the freedom to walk away from a job that's crushing your soul. It's the freedom to take a year off to be with your family. It's the freedom to build a life based on your own values, not just what a paycheck dictates. That is the real return on investment. So in the end, the journey of building wealth really has very little to do with money. It's a journey of self-discovery. The patience, the discipline, the foresight it takes to get there, it fundamentally changes you. It's not about what your money can buy. It's about who you have to become to build it. So the real question is, who are you becoming?